Entitled people demand too much. I'm your host, Tite. Let's read about a bunch. Our first one is from Inner Tumbleweed 942. My 31 male cousin, 30 male, who I will call Jake, has always considered himself the favorite of all the grandkids because of how our grandparents would always do stuff specifically with him. The real reason why they only spend time with him is because he lives 5 minutes from them, whereas the rest of us live in different states, me being the furthest at a 13-hour car ride. None of us know where this entitlement comes from. Even Jake's parents have called him out on his behavior, but it doesn't change. So to the story, my grandma passed away 10 years ago and my grandpa is getting up in age, 92 male, but still amazingly healthy despite it all. My dad, aunts, and uncles were having some discussions with him leading up to the summer family reunion regarding future funeral costs, making sure his will was up to date, insurance, etc. We get to the reunion this past August and all is going well, until Jake starts to make a comment about how he's totally getting the house and Grandpa's refurbished cars. My grandpa builds old cars with my uncle, Jake's dad. We all ignore him like usual, which seems to upset him, so he decides to prove it to us and asks Grandpa directly about the will. Grandpa gathers all 9 of the grandkids together and tells us that his major assets, house and cars, will be sold and divided equally among all of us grandkids. Jake lost his shit, because despite years of being told that he loves all his grandchildren equally, he still believed he was the favorite and would therefore get most everything from the inheritance. It got even worse when he realized that this included our step-cousin, Erin, 25 female, who, despite being in the family since she was 12, wasn't even a real grandkid. Long story short, this devolved into literally the entire family ganging up on Jake, hurling all kinds of insults at him for the things he said. The reason I'm writing about this now is that I just got off the phone with another of my cousins an hour ago, who told me that Jake was arrested last night for trying to steal one of our grandpa's cars. But since he never once actually helped with those things, the idiot tried to steal one that didn't even work yet. So from what I've heard, Jake is currently sitting in a jail cell with his parents refusing to bail him out, and my grandpa has a meeting with his attorney on Thursday to remove Jake from the will. Sorry if this was all over the place, but this is the current gist of the drama currently taking place in my family. Edit, just to clarify, Grandpa has discussed this in advance with all of his kids, my dad, aunts, and uncles, and as everyone is well established in life, they were happy to let the money from the house and car sales go to the grandkids. Everyone will still be getting sentimental items too, of course. Edit 2. None of us know why or where Jake gets his ego from. He's a college student, has a great job working for a local mining company, his parents are honestly my favorite aunt and uncle to hang out with, he doesn't do drugs, and he's the kind of guy to nurse a single beer for an hour and call it a night. The only thing I can think is that ego comes directly from literally living 5 minutes away and being able to spend more time with the grandparents than all of the other kids. But it is kind of funny after everything, he's now going to be removed from the will. This next one is by Entcanta333. So I was standing in a checkout line when everyone behind me started bustling over a spill on the ground. It was pretty big, with ice and everything. I'm positive it was not there when I got into the line. I look behind me and the woman has an empty Double D cup. Clearly it was her drink. Whatever, accidents happen. Maybe she was embarrassed and that's why she didn't say anything. A few workers come out to clean it up. I check out, everything's normal, and she's in front of me at this point, walking out of the store. I saw her return her cart, stop for a second to think about whether or not she wanted to leave her cup, trash, sitting in the cart. She chose to leave it there. Now I'm right behind her walking out, as we pass 2 trash cans right at the entrance. So I said to her, "Hey, there's a trash can right here." She ignored me and I said something again. She still ignored me. So I told her to grow up and pick up after herself. She refused to even look at me, but before she got into her car, she yelled out at me, "At least I don't look like you." Moral of the story: call people out on their entitlement. They don't expect it and they'll never forget it. I really hate these kinds of people that literally think just because you go into a public place, yeah, they may have workers that clean up incidents, but they're not your personal janitor to clean up because you're too lazy to find a garbage. And based off of her behavior, I have to question if the spill was actually accidental or intentional. And our final one is from the Lingerie Cowgirl. This was a few years back now. I rented a small block of land just outside town to keep my horses on it. Horses weren't uncommon in the area, but also there were a lot of residential areas around, so sometimes I would turn up to my pasture and people would be there with their children, petting the horses over the fence. Didn't bother me as both of my horses were pretty nice and polite to pet. One day I was out there just doing chores, weeding, cleaning, fixing fences, etc. Normal horse stuff. I had my headphones in and I'm working away when I hear shouting. I look over to the gate by the road and I see a man with two young girls there, 7 to 5-ish, beckoning me over. I walk over, assuming they want to pet and maybe feed a carrot to the horses. I say hello and the first thing he says was, "My kids want to ride your horses." Not even a, "Can my kids ride your horses?" Nope, want. For reference, my horses were an ex-racehorse who was still learning where the off button was, and a very large, very strong dressage horse who was highly trained and also very highly strung. So safe to say, even if I wanted to let the kids ride, these horses were not child safe. I explained this to him, plus that I didn't have any of my riding gear with me as I hadn't planned on riding that day. The dad just rolled his eyes and goes, "It's not that hard, just put them on the horse and lead them around," before trying to open the gate to let his daughters in. Lucky for me, I always kept the gate padlocked as it led to a busy road, and I didn't want the horses getting out. I again explained that they couldn't ride my horses, and he was better off looking up a riding school or trail riding place if they wanted to ride. At this point, he realized I wasn't budging. Plus, my horses had walked off to the other side of the field behind a tree line, so we're out of sight. So he turned back towards the car while loudly saying, "Come on, girls, this mean lady doesn't think you deserve to ride the horses," which caused them to start crying as he loaded them up into the car, before flipping me off and taking off down the road. Leave it to this entitled dad to inflict emotional abuse on his own daughters and blame it on somebody else because he had the brilliant idea to take them where horses were and assume they'd be able to ride them. These entitled people are just absolutely insane. Alright, that's enough entitlement for the day. Well, that wraps up this episode of Entitled People. If you liked the video, please drop a like, share my content on all of your social media, subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure to hit that bell so you're notified every time I upload, and drop a comment down below. It really helps with the algorithm and helps new people find my channel. Thanks for watching, thanks to my patrons and super thanks contributors. Have a great day and stay safe out there.